Hi, everyone. We have another interesting session today, and it's my pleasure to welcome here to the studio Hafez Chamat, the legal advisor. And today we will be talking about the entrepreneurship in Switzerland. You know, in Bevel ON Capacity Building Program, we provide a lot of insights and learning about how to find a job, how to build a career, how to integrate into the local environment if you are the migrant with specific experience, but also we're helping to consider entrepreneurship as additional path for the extending your career or providing the professional services or financial independence. So I have lots of interesting questions to Hafez today about how actually we can launch the business in Switzerland. Welcome, Hafez.
Hi, Inna. Thank you for having me again. I'm very excited to share my experience, my humble opinion and experience in this field.
Fantastic. I have plenty of questions to you. This live will be relatively short just to have the essence of that, and everything else that in more details our participants or viewers would like to know. You are most welcome to join the sessions on Bevel ON Capacity Building Program or subscribe to the entire program. So where I would like to start, actually, imagine I know nothing about entrepreneurship. We are not saying here I'm managing two companies. Imagine I know nothing as people that are listening to us or seeking for additional advice. So what are the key legal aspects actually someone who is starting the entrepreneurship should know or start little by little if they would like to launch small business or freelance activity in Switzerland?
Well, starting a business is always very challenging. It's not an easy journey. So the first things you need to think about is what legal firm I should take in starting my business. Should I start my business as a freelancer? Should I create a company? What kind of company should I create? This is the question from the legal point of view that the entrepreneur normally should ask. After we move to the next step, okay, now I have my business set up. I need to start contracting with people. What kind of contracts should I submit? Do I have shareholders with me in the company? If there is shareholders, who has the right to vote? Many aspects will come on afterwards.
Are there any things that should be avoided from the very beginning?
Well, mistakes that normally happen in the beginning is not choosing the best legal form, not knowing exactly what you are dealing with, making mistakes, not asking professional before you start. Maybe, for example, I will give you example of TVA. Maybe if you are importing new machines and stuff, you will need to register in the TVA to make to deduct the machines you're bringing in Switzerland. That's a small example. And afterwards, you need to remember that once you create a company, you will need to be employed, even if you are only shareholders in your company. So this is aspect normally the people start the company and then we say like, okay, what should I do now? I have to pay social security. I have to pay a second pillar. I have to pay. Yes, that was. We know that, but the person doesn't know because they didn't seek legal advice before they start, which is very recommended to ask for a legal advice, to ask professionals for taxes, for social security, for contracts. If you have shareholders, also for shareholders conventions. All of these aspects are very important.
Okay, and what are the legal forms of businesses that people can launch? How many of those? What are the options?
Well, in Switzerland, we have around 5 or 6. The most important ones are the freelancing, which is indépendant, activité indépendant. This is normally for activities like with doctors or someone who wants to start maybe testing the market, doesn't want really to start big or start with a big capital or something. We recommend to start at least testing with the freelancing or activity independent, which is good at the end of the day. The main ones I recommend, which is either freelancing, responsibility, limited responsibility, SARL, and limited responsibility SA or GmbH and AG in the German side of Switzerland. So freelancing, you don't need to register with you don't need to go to the notary and establish a company. You just need to register yourself with Social Security, with taxes, and basically you need to present a business plan, of course, and explaining what is the business. From tax perspective, as a freelancer, you will be taxed on your individual capacity. It's not a company tax, it's not commercial tax. So the more you make, the more you will pay in the canton where you are. Also, you have a complete responsibility. You are responsible for everything, basically. So there is not limited liability like the SRL or the SA, the other forms. From tax perspective, as I said, it depends on your activity. Always, it depends. You need to register the company in the commercial registration after you make the 100,000. You will also need to pay TVA after the 100,000. So that's for the freelance in short. For the SARL, which is a limited liability company with a capital of 20,000, you need to open a compte de consignation, which is a guarantee deposit account in the bank, and then you go to the notary. So there is here the notary fees that needs to be included in the starting the company. Afterwards, the liability of the company is the capital, which is 20,000. Once you create a company, you need to imagine you create a new personality. Even if you're 100% the shareholder, it doesn't matter. It's still a new person. So you will be, if you need to employ yourself afterwards in the company, so to be able to work in the company. Starting a company doesn't mean like I can work immediately. No, you still have to have a work contract between yourself and yourself, basically, but should be signed and registered and paying Social Security, second pillar if your salary more than 2,400 something. The taxes will be commercial tax, which is in Geneva around 14.9%. There are more deduction in the form of SARL than the activité indépendante. You can still have losses carried on if you do. But basically, we imagine the startups to not be profitable before 3 to 4 years, so they can carry on this loss. They can carry on the loss in the freelancing, but not as the SARL. SRL, the difference also that all shareholders are known. The company is registered with the commercial registration from the first day. The name of the company is protected. That's very important. So once, if you need to change the shareholders, you always have to go to the notary and remove this shareholder from the commercial registration. Adding anything you need to add to the status of the company needs to be either directly with the commercial registration office or with the notary. So moving now to the SA, which is also the biggest, I guess, legal form for companies in Switzerland. It's Société Anonyme, so anonymous. Nobody knows who are the shareholders. So also you need to go to the notary to start the company. The capital is 100,000. 50,000 needs to be liberated. Also the same things, you need to go to the bank, open a deposit account, put the money in the bank. The bank will notify the notary that the money is in the bank and is in the account. So afterwards, when the company is established, the notary will tell the bank to liberate the money, so it will be in the commercial account. So the money will be blocked for almost 2 weeks, but you can afterwards use this money for the business, not take it out and completely disappear. For the business, you can use them. Liability is 100,000, not unlike the SRL 20,000. Establishing cost is more expensive, the SA from the SRL. The tax is almost the same, if not exactly the same. Also, Social Security is the same. Also, if you need to work, you have a contract with yourself. Shareholders, because they are not known, so you don't have, if you change the shareholders, you have to have a contract to ceding their shares to another person in the company. Also, this will be in the status how shareholders can exit. This is very important point to take care about when you establish your company. Can I buy their shares before they go and sell their shares to the public? This is very important aspect. But because it's anonymous, you don't have to go to the notary to change the shareholders. So that's also an aspect very important in the SARL. And of course, if you're seeking funding in the future, if your company become big and you'd like to get listed in the stock market, SR is the form that you can use for this purpose.
I think what you said, there are plenty of different details and variations, and each case requires the precise individual attention to the thing. What we are doing actually, again, guys, you are watching us now, and there are a lot of insights that Hafez just gave you during this short period of time. But come to the Bevel ON Capacity Building Program. We will run the 1.5 hour session on this topic, and afterwards we can connect and probably give you more understanding about what is the framework that you are taking, what is the product or services that you are going to present on the market, what are your future plans. These all the things that we are considering in the program as the entrepreneurship accelerator, if you like, for the small group of people that would like to move but don't have the courage, enough of information, and the structure to do so. So myself and Hafez on this, we will help you, but first come to the Bevel ON Capacity Building Program, so you will see all the scope of materials we can give you to be more confident about what you are launching. Hafez, thank you so much for the insights. Of course, this is not everything we can talk about, but we try to condense as much as possible within the short period of time the first ideas about how legally we can proceed with launching own business in Switzerland. I appreciate your presence here, and again, thank you for the insights.
You're welcome, no problem. And I'm looking forward to see you if the participants are coming again in the next session.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.